Very few people in this world devote themselves completely to one singular thing. Curiosity is human nature, and obsession neglects curiosity for consistency. While most shift their focus, obsessive people never shift. The first basketball player to be consumed by the sport was also the first to discover the challenges of being devoured by one desire. There are very few firsts in today's NBA, and very little known about players who experienced those firsts so long ago, even the great ones. It is because of this that I have chosen to go back and attempt to discover who these players truly were. What they did right, what they did wrong, and everything in between. This week, that former player is Pete Maravich.
East team. Rudy T gives it to Maravich. Oh, showtime to the doctor. There's my MVP right there.
Pete Maravich's obsession is what made him great. This ceaseless passion did not develop naturally, however. As it is explained in Pistol, The Life of Pete Maravich, his father did not push him into the sport as much as he did two-hand shove him. His father, Press Maravich, had to first rid baseball from his son's life, doing so by hitting endless fly balls one day until one eventually nailed his son in the eye, making him dispel the sport forever. Next came football, where Pete often played quarterback. Press Maravich convinced the coach to play Cream the Quarterback, where every player has to attack the quarterback at once. Pete recalled quitting the sport that very day. Pete's childhood basketball homework then became legendary, dribbling constantly in order to have the most advanced handles ever seen before. He would dribble a mile away to and from school, in his basement as his father peered on, and most incredibly, out of the car door as his father drove. Ball handling was his most valuable asset, and everyone knew it. So heading into the NBA, it was the main topic of conversation.
You do things a little different than most other players that have come out of college in recent years. Do you think this is the coming trend in basketball, or do you think it's just you?
No, I think this is the coming trend.
Being 6 feet and 5 inches tall in 1970 with a lightning-quick handle made him one of the best offensive players in the league. Not only could he get around anyone he wanted, he could also shoot from anywhere he wanted. Pete happened to play in a time before the three-point line existed, but many believe his scoring numbers would be ludicrous if he happened to play today. Not because he had the potential to shoot from long range, but because he actually did shoot from long range. He would come off screens like the best shooters in today's NBA. He would dribble into laughably deep two-pointers, and he would spring up off the dribble like players you would think you would only see in 2018. He was a shooter before shooting became in style. He also was the league's trickiest passer, once saying that they don't pay you $1 million for a two-handed chest pass. He could make passes that others could not dream of, and would execute passes others would not dare attempt. His flashiness was part of his success, and part of his game plan. He knew the game was first and foremost a source of entertainment, and that is why he played the way he did. His dribbles were fancy because the crowd pleasantly squealed when he would zig past someone. His shot was long because no one shot it that way. And his passes were dynamic because chest passes were just too boring. All of this allowed him to average 25 points and nearly 6 assists per game through his first 8 years in the NBA, securing 5 All-Star appearances, allowing him to score 31 points per game one year, and score 68 in a single game.
And the crowd is going wild here at the Superdome. I wonder what kind of contract he's going to ask for after this ball game.
But this never translated to team success. He got into the playoffs just 3 times before his final year at the Celtics, never making it past the first round. This has a lot to do with him having just 2 All-Star teammates combined in Atlanta and New Orleans. This is in a league that had just 17 teams in his first year. Pete did not ultimately achieve what he was so passionate about, but his obsession was not necessarily the pursuit of championships, although I'm sure that was a goal. It was much more about the pursuit of happiness. Happiness that basketball success only delivered to him fleetingly. This is the hidden cost of obsession, especially one manufactured by a parent. Humans need many sources of happiness, and designating just one, as Pete's father did, makes happiness impossible to achieve. Pete was a basketball savant, a showman, and a millionaire. The 1970s antiquated view on depression simply could not fathom Pete's mental state. and so he battled with it quietly for a very long time, never truly being successful, as he was never truly happy.
Very early age, Ben, I thought that if I could just get that success and sit by my pool, twinkle my toes in the water and hold my little drink, everything would just work out fantastic. But I did that at the end of a very long career, a very hard, difficult career, very great amount of stress and distress, and it just wasn't true. I was contemplating suicide. I had been doing that for basically a year.
That in turn affected his ability to play, and he was stuck in an endless cycle until he finally found bliss outside of the game, and into religion, before passing away while playing the very game he thought he would find that joy in. Pete Maravich is an example of the completely misunderstood cost of making one game your everything. It delivered him greatness, as many exalt his ability despite his relatively modest NBA success compared to other all-time greats. Magic Johnson stated he borrowed Showtime from Pete Maravich, calling him the real Showtime. Isaiah Thomas said he got all his moves from him. Kevin McHale thought he learned a lot from his teammate in just 1 year. Kevin Gravey believed he would be an even better player in today's NBA. And Elgin Baylor called him the greatest player he has ever seen. Unrivaled work ethic and ability are unrivaled because most cannot handle all it takes to achieve such great things. Pete was an inarguably great basketball player who just so happened to play years before his time, poetically sacrificing his own happiness by playing a game that he acknowledged was created for the happiness of others.
I loved my parents. Basketball meant much more to me. Out of ignorance, even though he was handing this dream down to me, the dream was to later on really become a nightmare.